The silent response. High Admiral Vexithera of the Concordiate expansion fleet had conquered 17 systems in her illustrious career. Each conquest followed a predictable pattern: arrival, demands, resistance, and inevitable submission. But as her flagship, the Eternal Dawn, dropped out of quantum space near the third planet of this unremarkable yellow star, something felt different. Preliminary scans complete, High Admiral, announced First Observer Krell. Primitive orbital installations detected. Multiple artificial satellites. No significant defensive capabilities observed. Vexithera's iridescent scales shifted from their usual deep blue to a confident purple. Another simple conquest for the glory of the Concordiate. The species designation humans would soon join the long list of civilizations brought into the fold. Standard first contact protocols, she commanded, her four-fingered hand gesturing at the communications array. Transmit the ultimatum. The message was simple, encoded in mathematical sequences that any spacefaring race could understand. Submit or be eliminated. The Concordiate had sent this message thousands of times across the galaxy. The responses were always the same: either immediate capitulation or futile resistance. What they received instead made Vexithera's scales fade to a pale white. "High Admiral," called out Communications Officer Zen, "we're receiving a response," in perfect Concordiate standard. The bridge fell silent. It took decades of study to master the complex tonal language of the Concordiate. Even their most advanced client species struggled with its subtle harmonics. A human voice, calm and measured, filled the bridge. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Force. We've been expecting you. We would like to extend an invitation for a diplomatic meeting at our lunar facility. There are some matters we believe you should be aware of before any further actions are taken." Vexithera's inner eyelids flickered rapidly, a sign of deep disturbance among her species. Impossible. Their technological level indicates no prior contact with spacefaring civilizations. How can they speak our language? "High Admiral," interrupted the sensor officer, "I'm detecting unusual energy signatures from the lunar surface. They appear to be quantum shielding grids, but the configuration is unlike anything in our database." The human voice continued. "We understand you may have questions about our capabilities. We've prepared a comprehensive briefing. You'll find it enlightening." Vexithera felt something she hadn't experienced in her 3 centuries of service. Uncertainty. The humans weren't running. They weren't begging. They weren't even preparing for battle in the traditional sense. They were waiting. Analysis of their orbital patterns complete, reported First Observer Krell, his voice trembling slightly. "High Admiral, they're satellites. They're not communication relays or scientific instruments as we first thought. They're a weapon grid of some kind. But the technology, it's as if they developed it along a completely different technological path than any we've encountered." Vexithera studied the planet below. Such a beautiful blue world, seemingly primitive at first glance. But now, looking closer, she noticed details her assumptions had missed. The night side of the planet showed cities, yes, but also strange dark patches where cities should be. Perfect circles of darkness in otherwise illuminated regions. The orbital debris field they dismissed as primitive space junk now seemed more purposeful in its placement. "Send my response," she finally ordered. "Inform them I will attend their briefing personally." As her shuttle descended toward the lunar facility 12 hours later, Vexithera watched Earth grow larger in the viewport. The planet's single moon, which they had initially dismissed as an unremarkable satellite, revealed itself to be a fortress hidden in plain sight. Vast hangar doors larger than her flagship were opening in the lunar surface, revealing glimpses of technology that shouldn't exist at this development stage. The human greeting party awaited her in a pressurized hangar. Admiral Chen stood at the forefront, a surprisingly small being, but with a presence that commanded attention. Behind her stood a row of what appeared to be combat units, their armor unlike anything in Concordiate records. "Welcome to Luna Base, High Admiral," Chen said in perfect Concordiate standard. We have much to discuss about humanity's place in the galaxy. But first, let me show you something we call the War Archives. I believe it will help you understand why we've been preparing for this meeting for the past 300 years. Vexithera followed, her escort of 4 elite guards suddenly feeling insufficient. As they walked deeper into the facility, she couldn't shake the feeling that everything she thought she knew about conquest was about to change. The humans moved with a peculiar confidence, not the nervous energy of a species about to be conquered, but the calculated patience of a predator waiting for the perfect moment to reveal itself. They entered a vast chamber filled with holographic displays, each showing different periods of human history. But these weren't celebrations of peace or technological achievement. They were records of warfare. Endless warfare, spanning centuries, evolving from primitive weapons to something that made even Vexithera's advanced combat implants seem obsolete. "You see, High Admiral," Chen began, "while you were perfecting the art of conquest, we were perfecting the art of survival. Every major technological advancement our species has made came from our need to fight. Not against aliens, but against ourselves. We split the atom not to power our cities, but to end our greatest war. We mastered genetics not to cure diseases, but to create better soldiers. We developed artificial intelligence not to make our lives easier, but to create better weapons." The displays showed scenes that made Vexithera's combat-hardened stomach turn. Humans had found more ways to wage war than the Concordiat had discovered in 10,000 years of expansion. But surely, Vexithera found herself saying, surely a species so devoted to warfare would have destroyed itself. Chen smiled, but it wasn't a friendly expression. "That's what makes us unique, High Admiral. We came to the brink of self-destruction so many times that we learned to pull back. We learned to channel our aggressive nature into preparation, innovation, and defense. When we looked to the stars, we didn't see new frontiers for peace. We saw potential threats. So we prepared. For 3 centuries, we've been preparing for this exact moment." The Archives. The holographic display chamber beneath Luna Base stretched farther than Vexithera had initially realized. As Admiral Chen led her deeper into the facility, the High Admiral began to understand that this wasn't merely a museum. It was a warning. "Computer," Chen commanded, "display World War timeline, sequential analysis." The chamber erupted with images spanning centuries of human conflict. Vexithera's neural implants struggled to process the sheer volume of tactical data flowing before her. "In your message," Chen continued, "you mentioned that the Concordiat has conquered thousands of worlds. Impressive. But tell me, High Admiral, how many forms of warfare has your empire mastered?" Before Vexithera could respond, the display shifted to show parallel technological developments. In just one of our conflicts, what we call World War II, humanity developed more new weapons and tactics than most species create in a millennium. We went from primitive propeller aircraft to jet engines in 6 years, from basic ballistic calculations to the first computers, from simple rockets to intercontinental missiles. The images showed the rapid evolution of human warfare, tanks growing more sophisticated, aircraft becoming sleeker, weapons more precise. But it wasn't just the weapons that caught Vexithera's attention. It was the speed of adaptation. "What drives your species to such rapid innovation?" she found herself asking. Chen's expression hardened. "Necessity. Competition. Fear. When your entire species is locked in conflict, you either evolve or die. We had no choice but to become masters of warfare, not against alien threats, but against ourselves." The display shifted again, showing more recent developments. Quantum technology that followed completely different principles than the Concordiat's version. Artificial intelligence that had evolved alongside human consciousness rather than being designed to replace it. Biotechnology that blurred the line between enhancement and evolution. "Your scans of Earth showed you what we wanted you to see," Chen explained. "Those dark circles in our cities. Underground metropolises hardened against any orbital bombardment. The debris field you detected. A network of automated defense platforms disguised as space junk. Even this lunar base is just the surface of our defensive capabilities. Vexithera's scales shifted to a deep gray, a sign of profound disturbance. You speak of defense, yet show me nothing but weapons of war. Because we learned the hard way that the two are inseparable, Chen replied. Look at this. The display showed a new image, a massive underground facility that dwarfed even the lunar base. This is the Global Defense Archive. Every weapon, every tactic, every strategy humanity has ever developed is preserved here. Not just the successful ones, the failures too. We learned from everything. But why? Vexithera asked. Why maintain such an extensive archive of destruction? Chen turned to face the High Admiral directly. Because we knew you were coming. Not you specifically, but something like you. Humanity looked to the stars and asked a simple question. What if we're not alone? And more importantly, what if what we find out there isn't friendly? The display changed again, showing theoretical weapons designed specifically to counter technologies that humanity hadn't even encountered yet. Vexithera recognized variants of Concordiate weapon systems, but the human counters to them had been designed centuries before first contact. Your empire fights wars of conquest, Chen continued. You've mastered the art of subjugation. But humanity, we've mastered the art of survival. We'd fought ourselves in every possible way. Ground warfare, space warfare, economic warfare, psychological warfare, biological warfare, digital warfare. We've made every mistake possible and learned from each one. A new series of images appeared, massive orbital shipyards hidden behind Earth's moon, quantum weapon platforms disguised as asteroids throughout the solar system, and something that made Vexithera's blood run cold, a complete analysis of Concordiate battle tactics, compiled long before their arrival. How? She demanded. How could you have prepared for us so specifically? Chen smiled grimly. We didn't prepare for you specifically. We prepared for everything. Every possible first contact scenario. Every possible alien technology. Every possible form of warfare. When you've spent thousands of years trying to kill each other, you get very good at imagining new threats. The display showed one final image. A comparative analysis of Concordiate military capability versus Earth's revealed defense systems. The numbers made Vexithera's inner eyelids flutter rapidly. Your invasion fleet, Chen said quietly, the one waiting at the edge of our solar system. It's impressive. 300 capital ships, 2 million troops, enough firepower to reduce a planet's surface to slag. By Concordiate standards, it's an overwhelming force. She paused, letting the words hang in the air. By our standards, it's a minor incursion. Vexithera felt her ceremonial armor grow heavy. You're suggesting you could defeat our fleet? No, Chen replied, and for a moment Vexithera felt relief. Then the human continued. I'm telling you we could defeat your entire empire. We've run the simulations, studied your tactics, analyzed your technology. Your empire is impressive, High Admiral, but you've grown complacent. You've forgotten what it's like to fight an enemy that can actually hurt you. The lights in the chamber gradually rose, revealing something Vexithera hadn't noticed before. The walls weren't walls at all. They were weapon racks. Thousands of them, stretching into the distance, each holding technology that her sensors couldn't even properly classify. So, Chen said, shall we discuss terms of peace, or would you like to see why we've spent the last 3 centuries preparing for war? Diplomatic dance. The conference room in Luna Base offered a stunning view of Earth rising over the lunar horizon. High Admiral Vexithera found herself staring at the deceptively peaceful blue planet, her mind racing with calculations and possibilities. Across the polished obsidian table sat not just Admiral Chen, but a collection of human leaders from various nations and disciplines. Your demonstration has been enlightening, Vexithera began, her scales shifting through patterns of blue and green, indicating deep thought. But surely you understand that the Concordiate cannot simply turn away. 3,000 years of expansion cannot be halted by one species, no matter how prepared they might be. Dr. Marcus Rivera, the United Earth's chief xenodiplomat, leaned forward. We're not asking you to turn away, High Admiral. We're offering you something the Concordiate has never had before, a true ally. The concept seemed to physically disturb Vexithera. The Concordiate doesn't have allies. We have subjects, protectorates, vassals. And that, interrupted General John Way of the Asian Defense Coalition, is precisely why your empire, despite its size, is fundamentally vulnerable. Vexithera's guard captain took a step forward, his hand instinctively moving to his weapon. The human security personnel didn't react at all, which was somehow more unsettling than if they had. Admiral Chen raised a hand. Let's be direct. Your empire expanded through conquest because it was easy. You encountered species at similar stages of development, achieving spaceflight before developing significant military capability. We developed differently. We created weapons that could destroy planets before we could reliably reach our own moon. And this makes you a potential ally. Vexithera's tone carried genuine curiosity beneath its diplomatic veneer. It makes us unique, Dr. Rivera explained. You've seen our capacity for warfare, but that's not all we are. Computer, display Earth's cultural and scientific achievements, parallel timeline with military development. The holographic display filled with new images, great works of art alongside weapons of war, medical breakthroughs beside battlefield innovations, space exploration initiatives next to defense platforms. Every advance in human history, Rivera continued, has been driven by both conflict and cooperation. We fought wars, yes, but we also created beauty. We developed nuclear weapons, then used the same technology to power cities and explore space. We created artificial intelligence for warfare, then applied it to solving climate change and disease. What Dr. Rivera is saying, Chen added, is that humanity's greatest strength isn't our capacity for warfare. It's our ability to transform the tools of war into instruments of progress. Vexithera's scales shifted to a thoughtful purple. You're suggesting an exchange of technology. We're suggesting a complete paradigm shift, General Zhang stated firmly. Your empire expands through conquest because you've never encountered a species that could offer you a better alternative. But imagine what the Concordiate could become with humanity as an equal partner rather than another conquered world. The display changed again, showing projections of combined human and Concordiate technology. The possibilities were staggering. Human quantum theory combined with Concordiate drive systems. Earth's AI development merged with alien biotechnology. The potential advances in medicine, space exploration, and energy production were beyond anything either civilization had achieved alone. There's something else you should consider, Admiral Chen said softly. Computer, display threat analysis delta. The hologram showed a map of the known galaxy, with several regions marked in red. These are areas where we've detected signals that match neither human nor Concordiate patterns. There are other powers out there, High Admiral. Powers that might not be as interested in diplomatic solutions as we are. Vexithera's inner eyelids flickered rapidly. You've detected other civilizations, beyond your solar system. We've been listening to the stars for centuries, Rivera explained. And we've heard things that concern us. The galaxy is larger and more dangerous than either of our civilizations realized. The Concordiate's policy of conquest worked when you were the most advanced civilization in known space, but that may not be true for much longer. The implications hung heavy in the room. The Concordiate had never considered the possibility of encountering a civilization more advanced than itself. Their entire strategic doctrine was based on technological superiority. What exactly are you proposing? Vexithera asked, her voice carrying a new note of uncertainty. Admiral Chen stood and walked to the window, gazing at Earth. A new kind of alliance, one based on mutual strength rather than dominance and submission. The Concordiate provides its experience in space exploration and colonial administration. Humanity provides its technological innovations and defensive capabilities. Together, we prepare for whatever's coming from deep space. And if the Concordiate refuses, then we demonstrate exactly why we've spent 3 centuries preparing for war, General Zhang stated matter-of-factly. But we both know that would be a waste of potential. Your empire needs innovation. Real innovation, not just refinements of existing technology. We need your experience in managing an interstellar civilization. Apart, we're both vulnerable to whatever's out there. Together, Rivera finished, we could reshape the galaxy. Vexithera stood and moved to join Chen at the window. Earth's continents were becoming visible as the planet rose higher above the lunar horizon. From here, you couldn't see the weapon platforms or defense grids or underground cities. You could only see the beauty of a world that had survived its own violent nature to reach for the stars. The Concordiate High Council will resist this change, she said finally. 3,000 years of tradition don't disappear overnight. Then perhaps, Chen suggested, it's time for the Concordiate to learn what humanity learned long ago, that the ability to wage war effectively is sometimes the best way to preserve peace. Vexithera turned to face the human leaders. You understand that what you're proposing goes against everything the Concordiate has built itself upon. Yes, Chen replied simply. Just as accepting this alliance goes against everything humanity has prepared for. The question is, are we both ready to evolve? The demonstration. Your council requires proof, Admiral Chen stated. It wasn't a question. She stood on the bridge of the UES Prometheus, Earth's most advanced warship, though until now, its very existence had been hidden from the Concordiate sensors. High Admiral Vexithera's scales rippled with barely contained anxiety. After 3 days of intense communication with the Concordiate High Council, their response had been predictable. Prove it. Prove that humanity was worth more as an ally than as a subject. They are skeptical of your claims, Vexithera admitted. 3,000 years of history suggest that pre-FTL civilizations cannot possibly possess the capabilities you describe. Chen smiled. Then let's rewrite history. General Zhang, begin the demonstration. The space around Earth's moon suddenly flickered, as if reality itself was being peeled away. Where there had been empty space, hundreds of ships now appeared, ships that made the Concordiate fleet look primitive by comparison. Phase 1, Chen announced calmly. Quantum camouflage. Your sensors didn't detect our fleet because they weren't looking for ships that exist in multiple quantum states simultaneously. We learned to hide our assets not from alien invasions, but from each other. Nothing drives innovation like paranoia. Vexithera's neural implants were nearly overwhelmed trying to analyze the human vessels. Their design philosophy was completely alien, not sleek and imposing like Concordiate ships, but angular and pragmatic, bristling with weapons systems her sensors couldn't even classify. Phase 2, Chen continued. Combat demonstration. A series of targets appeared at the edge of the solar system. Decommissioned Concordiate warships provided for the demonstration. What happened next made Vexithera's inner eyelids flutter rapidly in disbelief. The human ships didn't move. They didn't fire conventional weapons. Instead, space itself seemed to twist around the targets. When reality settled back into place, the Concordiate ships were simply gone. Quantum displacement weapons, General Zhang explained from his command post on Luna. We bend space to remove threats rather than destroy them. Much cleaner than conventional warfare. But it wasn't just the advanced technology that impressed Vexithera. It was the precision. The human ships operated with a level of coordination that suggested an entirely different approach to warfare. Your ships, she observed, they move like a single organism. Neural integration networks, Chen explained. Our ships are linked not just by computers, but by the minds of their crews. Another innovation born from our wars with ourselves. We learned that true victory comes not from superior firepower, but from superior coordination. The demonstration continued. Human ships demonstrated capabilities that the Concordiate had deemed theoretically impossible. They manipulated gravity as easily as the Concordia manipulated light. They showed weapons that didn't destroy their targets, but rather altered the fundamental laws of physics around them. Phase 3, Chen announced. Planetary defense systems. The surface of the moon rippled, and massive weapon platforms emerged from beneath the regolith. The Earth itself seemed to shimmer as previously invisible defense systems revealed themselves. Your invasion fleet, Chen noted, would have been trapped the moment it entered our gravity well. These gravity nets can disable any ship using conventional drive systems. Of course, we have more direct measures as well. As if to demonstrate, a beam of pure darkness shot from one of the lunar platforms, creating a sphere of absolute void in space. When it dissipated, a volume of space the size of a small moon had been completely cleared of all matter, including the quantum particles that made up space itself. By the first Empress, Vexithera whispered, her scales now a pale white of complete shock. You've weaponized the fabric of reality itself. We had to, Chen replied, her voice carrying a note of sadness. When you fought as many wars as humanity has, you learned that conventional weapons eventually reach their limits. So we started looking for unconventional solutions. But the most impressive demonstration was yet to come. With a simple command, Chen activated what she called the Sol System Defense Grid. Countless points of light appeared throughout the solar system. Automated defense platforms that had been hidden in plain sight, disguised as asteroids, space debris, and natural phenomena. Final phase, Chen announced. Full strategic capability. The grid activated, and for a brief moment, the entire solar system was connected by lines of force the human sensors could detect but Concordia technology couldn't even perceive. With this network active, Chen explained, we can predict and counter any military action before it begins. We developed it to prevent wars between our own nations. As a side effect, it makes our solar system essentially impregnable. Vexithera stood in silence, watching as the human fleet performed maneuvers that defied everything she thought she knew about physics and warfare. The Concordiad had always assumed that their technology represented the peak of possible achievement. Now she understood. They had stopped innovating because they had stopped facing real challenges. You understand, she said finally, that this demonstration will change everything. The Concordiad built its power on the assumption of technological superiority. You haven't just proved yourselves our equals. You've proven yourselves our superiors in many ways. Chen turned to face the alien admiral. That's not our goal. We don't want to replace the Concordiad or prove our superiority. We want to help you evolve, just as our own conflicts forced us to evolve. Because something is coming from deep space, Admiral. Something that will require both of our civilizations to survive. As if to emphasize her point, one of the human sensor arrays activated, displaying a strange signal from far beyond known space. The pattern was unlike anything either human or Concordia technology had encountered before. Your empire has spent 3,000 years conquering, Chen said softly. We've spent our entire history preparing for extinction-level threats. Perhaps it's time we learned from each other. Vexithera watched as the human fleet resumed its quantum-cloaked state, vanishing from conventional sensors, but remaining a lurking reminder of humanity's capabilities. She had come to Earth expecting to find another primitive civilization to conquer. Instead, she had found something unprecedented, a species that had turned their own violent nature into a force for unprecedented innovation. The Council will receive my report within the hour, she said finally. I suspect the age of Concordiate conquest is about to end. The question is, what comes next? Chen's reply was interrupted by a sudden alert from the sensor array. The signal from deep space had changed, becoming stronger, more focused. Both human and Concordiate officers turned to watch as the pattern began to repeat, a clear sign of artificial origin. What comes next? Chen said grimly, might be decided for us sooner than we thought. New dawn. The Concordiate High Council chamber had never been so quiet. Millions of quantum-linked displays showed the recorded demonstration of human military capability, while High Admiral Vexithera's report echoed in the vast circular hall. The 17 council members, representing the oldest and most powerful houses of the Concordiate, sat in stunned silence. "This changes everything," First Speaker Kittle finally declared, his ceremonial robes shifting uneasily around his scaled form. 3,000 years of expansion, undone by a single species we thought primitive. "Not undone," Admiral Chen corrected. She stood before the council as the first human ever to enter the Concordiate's sacred halls, transformed. The council chamber itself was a testament to the differences between their civilizations. Where humans built for functionality hidden beneath deception, the Concordiate created displays of overwhelming power and authority. The chamber's crystal spires reached a kilometer into the sky of the Concordiate throne world, its transparent walls showing the endless cityscape below. "You must understand our position," Second Speaker Miralin insisted. "The Concordiate maintains order through strength. If word of your capabilities spreads, every subject world might rise up, thinking they can." "They won't," General Zhang interrupted from his position beside Chen. "Because we're not here to destroy your empire. We're here to save it." The sensor logs from Earth played again, showing the strange signal from deep space. 3 days of analysis had revealed disturbing patterns, signs of technology that neither humanity nor the Concordiate could fully comprehend. "Our observations suggest they'll reach Concordiate space within 5 years, Dr. Rivera explained, his holographic form flickering beside Chen. He had remained on Earth to coordinate defense preparations. "Their energy signatures indicate technological capabilities far beyond either of our civilizations. Alone, neither of us stands a chance. And you believe an alliance between our peoples would make a difference." Kittal's tone carried centuries of imperial arrogance, but also a note of genuine curiosity. Chen stepped forward, her uniform a stark contrast to the ornate robes of the council members. "We've spent our entire history preparing for threats we couldn't fully imagine. You've spent yours managing an empire built on technological superiority. Apart, we're vulnerable. Together," she gestured, and a new hologram filled the chamber. It showed the combined potential of human and Concordiate technology. Quantum displacement drives merged with Concordiate power systems, human AI networks enhanced by alien biotechnology, defensive systems that could protect not just a solar system, but entire sectors of space. "Together," she continued, "we create something entirely new. Not an empire built on conquest, but an alliance forged by necessity and strengthened by diversity." Vexithera stepped forward to stand beside Chen. The gesture was not lost on the council, their most decorated admiral literally standing with the humans. "I have seen their worlds," Vexithera declared. "I have witnessed their capabilities. The Concordiate has grown complacent in its power, while humanity has never stopped innovating, never stopped preparing. We needed this encounter as much as they needed to prove themselves to us." The chamber erupted in discussion, council members arguing in the complex harmonics of their native language. But beneath the chaos, a current of understanding was growing. The evidence was undeniable. Change was coming, whether they welcomed it or not. First Speaker Kittal raised his hand for silence. "What exactly are you proposing?" "A 3-phase integration," Chen replied promptly. "First, immediate technological exchange focused on defensive capabilities. Second, joint military exercises and standardization of command protocols. Third, a complete restructuring of the Concordiate's relationship with its subject worlds." "You would have us surrender our authority," Miralin demanded. "We would have you survive," Zhang countered. "Your empire is built on the assumption that you'll always be the strongest power in the galaxy. That assumption is about to be challenged. Adapt or face extinction." As if to emphasize his point, new data streamed in from Earth's deep space arrays. The unknown signals were growing stronger, more complex. Analysis suggested they were not merely communications, but space-time distortions unlike anything either civilization had encountered. "We offer you a choice," Chen said into the ensuing silence. "Continue as you are, facing an unknown threat, with outdated strategies and rigid hierarchies, or embrace change. Learn from a species that turned its own violent nature into an engine of innovation. Help us transform the Concordia from an empire of conquest into a shield for all sentient life." The council chamber's displays shifted, showing the combined fleet exercises that had already begun in the Sol system. Concordiate ships learning to operate alongside human vessels, their crews discovering that centuries of assumed superiority meant little in the face of humanity's unconventional tactics and technologies. "There is another factor to consider," Dr. Rivera added. "Our analysis suggests the approaching force is merely a scout group. Behind them, our long-range quantum sensors detect something vast, something that makes this advanced force look primitive by comparison." The council members exchanged glances, their scales shifting through colors of concern and consideration. 3,000 years of tradition stood against change, but survival had always been the Concordiate's prime directive. First Speaker Catal rose from his throne. "You understand that what you're proposing will face resistance. Many of our subject worlds have been under Concordiate control for millennia. Change will not come easily." "Nothing worthwhile ever does," Chen replied. "Humanity learned that lesson through countless wars and near extinctions. Now we offer you the chance to learn it through cooperation instead of conflict." The chamber's displays showed one final image: a joint human Concordiate defense fleet, their combined technologies creating something entirely new. Ships that could phase through quantum states while maintaining Concordiate power signatures. Weapons that combined alien energy manipulation with human reality warping innovations. "The galaxy is changing," Vexithera declared to her fellow Concordiate leaders. "We can change with it, or we can fade into history as another empire that grew too confident in its own power." First Speaker Catal descended from his elevated position, crossing the chamber to stand before Chen. In 3,000 years, no council member had ever left their throne to stand equal with another being. "You came to our empire expecting to find another primitive species to conquer," he said quietly. "Instead, you found something unprecedented. A civilization that had turned its greatest weaknesses into unconquerable strengths. Perhaps it is time for the Concordiate to learn this lesson as well." He turned to address the council. "I call for a vote. Not on whether to accept this alliance. Events have made that decision for us. No, we vote now on what we will become. Will we be remembered as the empire that recognized the need for change, or as the empire that clung to past glories until the galaxy itself proved us obsolete?" As the vote began, Chen's quantum communicator pulsed with new data from Earth. The signals from deep space had changed again, becoming more focused, more deliberate. Whatever was out there, it knew it had been detected. "How long?" Call asked, noting her expression. 4 years, 3 months until they reach your border worlds," Chen replied. "Less time than we hoped, more than we feared. The question is, will we be ready?" The council's vote flashed across the chamber's displays, unanimous for the first time in recorded history. The Concordiate would change, not through conquest or submission, but through an alliance born of mutual necessity and respect. "We have work to do," Chen said simply. As if in response, the deep space signals pulsed again, stronger than ever. In the space between galaxies, something vast was stirring, its attention now fixed on the tiny corner of space where two civilizations had just chosen to stand together rather than fall alone. The age of conquest was over. The age of survival had begun.